ഏതാനും ചിതറിയ ചിന്തകൾ പറഞ്ഞ് അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. എനിക്ക് കാര്യമായിട്ട് പരിചയമൊന്നുമില്ലാത്തൊരു മേഖലയാണ്. നിയമം തെറ്റിച്ച് നടക്കുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളാണ് അതേക്കുറിച്ച് എന്നോട് പറയാറുള്ളത്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ അതിൻ്റെ വിശദാംശങ്ങളിലേക്കൊന്നും കിടക്കുന്നില്ല. എനിക്ക് മനസ്സിൽ ഈ നൈയാമികമായ വേൾഡുമായിട്ട് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ചില ചിന്തകളൊന്ന് പങ്കുവയ്ക്കുകയാണ്. The introduction of the Decalogues defines the Lord as the saving God of history, and that serves as the foundation of legislative prescriptions. There is a famous saying, ubi societas ibi ius. Wherever there is society, there is law. To be adequately organized, the exercise of the functions divinely entrusted to the Church, especially that of sacred power and of administration of sacraments, canon law is extremely necessary for the Church. A community without law will never be anything else but a community of confusions and divisions. Canon law emerges from the very heart of the Church. It is an essential instrument or a means of service we offer to the people of God whom we are called upon to minister. No society can survive without law, and without those who learn and apply the law. And Church is no exception to this principle. The code is not merely a legal text, but a true gift to the ecclesial community. Law in the Church is not an end in itself, but it is always a means at the service of salus animarum, salvation of souls. It aids the way to truth and grace in the hearts of the people. The code has done a good service to the people of God, and it can still serve better if it is properly implemented. The immediate task of making the code more effective belongs to the pastors, canon lawyers, and the faithful. However, the image of code depends upon those who are implementing the law, those who are interpreting the law. Church invites us to make the code a norm of life, a pastoral guide, a school of justice, of discretion, and of pastoral charity in action. We need people who are canonists, juridically trained and prepared. Their presence will help the authorities of the Church in their function of governing, which cannot be separated from pastoral care. Canonists are urged to look towards the achievement of order in ecclesiastical society. While giving primacy to love, grace, and charisma, they should not forget to facilitate an orderly development in the life both of ecclesiastical society and of the individual persons who belong to it. A canonist is a minister of charity, unity, truth, justice, equity, and peace. Canon lawyers are people who have a passion for the service of the Church. They are the persons of faith They have the passion for justice. According to Pope Francis, they should be the persons of sentire cum ecclesia, thinking and feeling with the church. For him, this church, with which we should be thinking and feeling, is the home of all, not a small chapel that can hold only a small group of select people. To feel with the church is to feel its pain as well as its joys. Canonists have the duty to interpret the code according to the sensus ecclesiae, the sense of the church. Ignatius of Antioch said, "Sentire vere in ecclesia militante," have a sense of the church bravely acting in the world. Canon lawyers are those who search the mens legislatoris, the mind of the legislator, the mind of the church. We are very proud that we have a good number of experts in Oriental Canon law present here who think and feel with the church, who search the mind of the legislator, and who contribute to the universal church. Saint Ambrose said, "Que est justitia nihil misericordia?" What is justice other than mercy? What is justice other than mercy? Que est justitia nihil misericordia? Pope Francis, making some amendments in the Oriental Code in the form of mitis et misericords, gentle and merciful Jesus. That is a kind of an interpretation to the already interpreted or given verse of St. Ambrose, I think. A canonist ministry is not comparable to the office of a civil lawyer. In every context of one's ecclesial ministry, one must keep in mind the image of the Good Shepherd. The qualities of a Good Shepherd should permeate deeply the entire life and ministry of a canon lawyer. Not simply use gladi, right of the sword, വാളിൻ്റെ അധികാരം നിയമം അത് ആയിരിക്കരുത്. It is very significant that for this conference, the theme Obligations and Rights of the Lay Christian Faithful in CCEO was chosen in the context of the preparation for the 16th Synod of Bishops in 2023 on synodality. Lay faithful in the church are envisioning an era of their own, an age of the laity. An outgoing church needs an outgoing laity. In the Apostolic Exhortation, Christi Fidelis Laici, Pope John Paul II prophetically said, the third millennium will be of the lay people. If Congar, whose theology of the laity has been helpful to the Second Vatican Council to situate lay people in their rightful place in the church, said, priest is not the sole agent in the church activities. It is he who celebrates, but the whole body offers. It is he who teaches, but all bear witness and are active in the knowledge of the faith. It is he who has the care of souls, but all have the mission to the apostolate. Code of Canons of the Eastern Churches defines the laity following Lumen Gentium 31 especially. Those Christian faithful for whom secularity is proper and specific, who, living in the world, participate in the mission of the Church without being in holy order or enrolled in the religious state. According to this canon, secularity is the proper characteristic of the laity, but is not their exclusive trait. Secularity and spirituality are not mutually opposed and exclusive. Canon 401 of CCEO affirms further, it is for lay people to seek the kingdom of God above all by dealing with temporal matters and regulating them according to God's plan as part of their own vocation. The vocation of the laity is not to engage in temporal matters, but to seek the kingdom of God by engaging in temporal matters. Hence, the proper vocation of the laity is not to be identified with temporal involvement, which is only a means for the realization of their own vocation, ex propria vocatione. Secularity is not therefore a mere sociological description, but a theological qualification. Hence, the Council affirms secularity is proper and specific to the laity. Lumen Gentium 31. Rights cannot be considered as claims in or against the Church. Rather, they are means for fostering communion, personal and communal holiness and ecclesial mission. Even though the existence of rights and obligations does not depend on the knowledge a person has of them, their exercise or violation can certainly depend on the knowledge one has of their existence. We all know the axiomatic saying, ignorantia juris non excusat. Ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So our ministry should extend to educate the Christian faithful in the parishes, religious institutes, diocesan organisms, etc. A profound knowledge of the rights and obligations in the Church and appropriate skills in interpreting and applying them in concrete circumstances is essential. In line with the previous popes, Pope Francis has been trying to highlight the role of laity as indispensable to the mission of the Church. He has been emphasizing that the lay people cannot be considered second-class members after priests and religious. Bishops need to show even greater pastoral closeness to lay people. The Spirit works in lay people, and it is not the property of the hierarchy. And the voices of the laity are an indispensable part of the Church governance. As a model, Pope Francis has taken strong steps in promoting and empowering women in the Church, and there are several initiatives taken by him to nominate women in various offices in Roman Curia. Most of you are working or worked in the tribunal or chancery. The essential characteristics that sets apart a canonist or a judge is the moral sensitivity, which is the loftiest and indispensable prerogative. A judge is the interpreter of the law. Speaking to the officials of the tribunal of the Roman Rota on the occasion of the inauguration of their judicial year of 2022-23, Pope Francis reflected on the theme of synodality with regard to the declaration of nullity of marriage cases, reminding them that their mission is to be at the service of families. Synodality with regards to the law, Pope Francis commended, implies a constant exercise of listening, which is not simply hearing. Another aspect of synodality, remarked the Pope, was the importance of discernment. This discernment is based on walking together and listening, and allows the concrete matrimonial situation to be read in the light of the Word of God and the magisterium of the Church. I am sure that your spiritual outlook and your personal dedication to your work will never degenerate into a sterile, bureaucratic procedures. There are very rich and solid sources of Oriental Canon law, the writings of the Fathers of the Church, the writings of monks and eremitics, documents of ecumenical councils and synods, documents of local councils and synods, and also the particular laws of the Church and diocesan laws. They are known as sacri canones, holy laws. There are also very specific Syriac canonical sources. To collect and edit the sources of Eastern canon law will be a great contribution to the Church in the future. While renewing the canonical text, we should not fail to keep up the continuity of the canonical traditions. That was an idea of Pope Paul VI. Emeritus Pope Benedict once said, not only in theology but in canon law also, there could be a hermeneutics of continuity, rather than just disregarding or keeping everything new. The famous sayings of St. Ambrose, I have already quoted, which has been taken up by the canonists ever through the history of the Church. The canonical idiom, fiat justitia, ruat celum, let justice be done even if the heavens should fall. സ്വർഗം ഇടിഞ്ഞു വീണാലും ഞാൻ നിയമം പ്രാബല്യത്തിൽ കൊണ്ടുവരും. അതാണല്ലോ ഫിയാത്ത് ജുസ്റ്റീസിയ റുവാത്ത് ചേലും. Articulus standis et cadendis ecclesiae are to be detected particularly by the canonists. Those articles by which the Church stands or falls, that is articulus standis et cadendis. Everything, as St. Augustine says, depends on fidus totus. വിശ്വാസമാണ് എല്ലാം. To the lawyers, both civil and ecclesiastical, there is a famous adage in history, flectar non franca, I will bend but not break. ഞാൻ വളയ്ക്കും പക്ഷേ ഒടിക്കാൻ ആഗ്രഹിക്കുന്നില്ല. അതാണ് പരിശുദ്ധപിതാവ് മെർസിഫുൾ ജഡ്ജിനെ കുറിച്ച്, അതിനു മുമ്പ് ക്രൂവൽ മെർസിയെ കുറിച്ച് കാർഡിനൽ ന്യൂമാനൊക്കെ പറഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടല്ലോ. നമ്മൾ മെർസി കാണിക്കണം, പക്ഷെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞിട്ട് മെർസി കാണിക്കണം. അതാണ് ക്രൂവൽ മെഴ്സി എന്ന് കാർഡിനൽ ന്യൂമാൻ ഒരിക്കൽ പറഞ്ഞു വെച്ചത്. ബോണും ഫാക്സിയന്തും മാലും ക്വേ വിറ്റാൻതും ഡു ദ ഗുഡ് ആൻഡ് ഹേറ്റ് ദ ഈവിൾ. അതായിരിക്കണം കാനനിസ്റ്റ് നിരന്തരമായിട്ട് പറഞ്ഞ് പഠിപ്പിക്കേണ്ടത്. The famous words of St. Augustine, Voce ecclesiae loquor. I speak with the voice of the church. There is an ecclesiological and theological foundation to each and every law, whether it is Latin law or Oriental law. Let me conclude. I thank you very much for having invited me. May all the present and future endeavors and collective efforts of Oriental Canon Law Society of India be in conformity to God's purposes for His people. I wish the conference God's choicest blessings and a pleasant stay here in Deepti Bhavan. God bless you through the intercession of Saint Alphonsa. Thank you very much.